Oh, this entity do not want me to tell on it at all. But guess what? I'm doing it anyway. Because somebody needs to hear this story and somebody needs to know how to defeat one in their life. So, boom. This is my 5th time recording this video. I recorded it 2 years ago and my phone froze up and basically said that it was no video recorded. I tried to record it again a year ago and the same thing happened. Actually, that time I had got so irritated. I recorded the whole thing like over an hour long and it said nothing was recorded. So I went right behind like, oh no, you a lie. I recorded it again and it did the same thing. Let me go through the whole thing and said it didn't record. I tried a few months ago to record it and it did the same thing, would not hold the video. So last shadow hour, I tried to record it again, but this time I'm using my computer. So I'm like, okay, like I know this should be able to, have enough space. It shouldn't be no problems. Tell me why my internet go out right in the middle of me recording it. But it waited until I got to speaking about the entity. Like the whole rest of the time when I was talking, but like giving the backstory, like leading up to like how it even got to this point with Allatu and Keisha. Before I even got to like all the rest of it, let me say, as soon as I got to the part about speaking about the entity, boom, internet goes off mid conversation. So, okay, I recognize last shadow hour where I went wrong. First of all, every time I tried to record it, I recorded it in the darkness. Okay, that is where these entities thrive, in the darkness. So, yeah, I got it out in the light now, honey, and you is out in the light now, honey. And I have removed any ties, connections, contracts, agreements, covenants, or anything that I have ever made, me or anybody from my past life, any ancestral lives, past, present, or future, that have made with you, period. That entity is bound already. So it can't have no effect on what I'm doing moving forward. And I needed to do that. You know what I mean? Because it was still having an effect and I just didn't realize it. So that is done. It's over with for that entity. A wrap. Done data. So, boom. Let's get to it, okay? So, first of all, Allatu and Keisha knew each other because of not because of their parents. It was because of Allatu's grandmother, Elle, and Keisha's mother, Tina. So, they were like best friends or whatever. I'm really not sure. Well, I'm going to say I don't remember the details of how they met. Like at this moment, like I don't know why it's like slipping my mind, but maybe that's just not relevant to the story for me to tell right now. Anyway, Keisha had been around because she is like a year older than Allatu. She had been around the family like before Allatu, was born. So she was used to being a baby and kind of like the attention on her. You know what I'm saying? But the thing was, Grandma Elle didn't have any biological grandchildren at the time. So when Allatu was born, this was her first grandchild, period. So, of course, Allatu was spoiled by this grandmother. The grandmother was like, oh, no, this is my baby. Whoa, wow. You know what I'm saying? But Grandma Elle was like that. She loved children, period. So it didn't change how she moved about Keisha. She loved Keisha. Keisha was her goddaughter. So she didn't like start acting weird toward Keisha now because, she got her own granddaughter. She just, was like, hey, she had a big heart. So she was like, hey, it's more love for everybody. But yeah, my grandbaby here, like she was happy, ecstatic. You know what I mean? So boom. This like, and then also too, Allatu's father, Asar, and Allatu's mother, Nubia, they also like kind of, was like trying to, this is their first child, they trying to give their attention and love. This is newborn baby to Allatu. So this already had started to stir up some jealousy within Keisha. So as time, she, and it was all, let me back up. So it was always this one particular story that she always told, even as adults, she always brought this story up. And this is like, like this, whatever this feeling was within her, it was deep seated. It was deep seated because this was something she was talking about, the birth. Like she spoke about it. Now that I think about it, like she spoke about Allatu, like Allatu's birth like basically changed her life. Like basically she wished that she had the life that Allatu had. She wished that she was born into the family that Allatu had, and because Allatu was born, that's why she wasn't able to basically attach to this family the way she wanted to. So she always had like this little feeling about Allatu, but Allatu always loved Keisha. Like Allatu never like felt any, bad ways. Even though Keisha through a lot of the time, especially when like they teens and stuff, Allatu recognized like Keisha's selfishness, but she always accepted Keisha for who she was. She never like Allatu was like a protector as well. So she kind of almost low key looked at it like it was her responsibility to protect and look out for those around her that she cared about. So even though Keisha would do a lot of selfish things, Allatu was like, this my G, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. Like, this is just how she is. She just kind of basically accepted it. Like, this is who she is. So anyway, they early, childhood, Keisha used to hide from Allatu and stuff like that. Like, she just, you know what I'm saying? Like, she really, when I think about it now, looking back at it, she didn't really fuck with Allatu. You know what I'm saying? But it was like being around somebody all the time, you develop like a love for them. But I feel like it was also like a love-hate. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the case may be, she was like, okay, hide from her, doing, just really acting kind of fucked up in certain situations. So Allatu one day went to her grandma Elle and was like crying and stuff like, why Keisha be acting like this, like hiding from me and stuff, like what did I do to her, why she don't want to play with me in certain times, whatever. Now don't get it twisted, Allatu knew she was annoying, and Allatu was like a big ass ball of energy. Like everybody, like it took several people to handle Allatu because Allatu was a lot to handle. Like Allatu energy was all over the place. She just go. She wasn't a chill child, you know what I'm saying? So she knew she could be annoying. She was also very self-aware. So she knew she could be annoying. A lot of times Allatu didn't give a fuck. She actually kind of liked annoying people. You know what I'm saying? But she wasn't really trying to annoy Keisha because Allatu didn't grow up with... She had biological sisters, but not at that point when they was younger like that. But she didn't grow up around her sisters. So she grew up around her brothers. And so did Keisha. Keisha had brothers too. She was the only girl, in her family too. So they looked at each other like sisters. At least that's what Allatu thought. Like, okay, we the sisters that we don't have. You know what I'm saying? And I say this because Allatu, like I said, Allatu actually did have sisters, but she did not grow up with her sisters at all. So she didn't look at it like she had sisters because she wasn't around them. Anyway, so Allatu just like I say, she really just like wanted to be around Keisha. She just wanted, to play with Keisha and have fun with Keisha. She like I said, she wasn't trying to annoy Keisha, but it was her personality too, and that was another reason why she was accepting of Keisha as well, because Allatu knew she had her own little quirks, you know what I'm saying? So she like, hey, shit, I'm annoying. Hey, it is what it is. And also too, like they was different in other ways too. Like Keisha was really like girly, like more about the outer appearance, looking pretty, wearing dresses. Allatu hated dresses, dress shoes, that type of stuff. Like she was a tomboy. She like acted things, and even when they went through their teenage years, like Keisha and the rest of the girls would be sitting up talking about boys, and Allatu found that extremely boring. Like, come on, let's go play. Like they out there having fun, and we sitting up here talking about them out there having fun. Like, no, let's go have fun. So Allatu a lot of times would play with her boy cousins and stuff like that because the girls was boring to her. You know what I'm saying? Like she wanted to be around, she wanted to have a bond with them, but she found herself being closer to the boys because the boys were more active and she was more active. So when Allatu asked Grandma Elle, like, what's up? Why she acting like this toward me? Grandma Elle was just like, well, she jealous of you, like, your family life, like things with her family is not the same. Like, look at all the love everybody gets you and how supportive everybody is, the praise you get, you spoiled, yada yada. So she basically just pointing out all the things that Allatu had that Keisha didn't feel like she had, even though she was getting it from that side of the family. A part of her was jealous that it wasn't her biological family. So that's what the jealousy was. Not that she wasn't getting love too, but it was because she had to go home. At the end of the day, she can come over there and get all that love, support, and kisses and hugs and candy and whatever else. But at the end of the day, she still got to go back home. You know what I'm saying? So she was jealous that she had to go back home. So whatever the case may be, as time, but that made, I'm gonna say this too, that made Allatu even more so have like a deeper care for her. Like, I really don't want to hurt her. I really don't want to make her feel bad. So Allatu never act funny toward her or, tried to make her feel like, yeah, this my family, not yours. Like, Allatu never felt nothing like that, thought nothing like that. It was just like, man, like, this my G. And that made her even more so like want to, be there for her and let her know that she got support and love and she don't have to feel that way. Allatu did not like jealousy. You know what I'm saying? Like, didn't want nobody feeling jealous of her. Allatu did her. You know what I'm saying? But it was never to make somebody else feel a certain way. She never tried to throw things in anybody's face. She just wanted what she wanted. Allatu wasn't greedy, but she also was spoiled. You know what I'm saying? It's like whatever Allatu wanted, she wanted it. And she felt like she should have it. She was a little bit entitled. You know what I'm saying? Not gonna lie. But not in a way like she was greedy. It was just like whatever she wanted, she felt like she deserved it. And for the most part, she got it, especially on material things, on the material side. Allatu man had some, some more emotional and spiritual issues, but on the material side, Allatu was straight. Like, it wasn't no problems there. Allatu really pretty much got everything she wanted. So, whatever the case may be, they move into their teenage years. Tina is really hard on Keisha as far as like trying to keep her in the house. Basically like got her cooking and cleaning and doing, just basically like, she just like basically was like trying to kind of keeping like a tight leash on her. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Allatu was like pretty much like do what she want to do, go where she go, come, go and come. Like, not necessarily go and come as she please like that, but it was like her situation was not as strict. And like I said, she was kind of spoiled, so she also kind of had money, so when they go to do stuff, she can, get things she wanted to get, and so on and so forth. So, but also too, by this time, they, they're in their teenage years, they both smoking weed and stuff like that. So a lot of times, like, fronted their situation so that they can, partake. You know what I'm saying? And so, anyway, Keisha even had a problem with that too. Like at some point they was doing their teenage years, and this is when Allatu was messing with Trigger. And now keep in mind, like I said, they've been knowing each other their whole life, so they know both of each other's experiences, quite well for the most part. So when whatever Allatu had, she felt like she wanted to share with Keisha. Like, that's how much she loved Keisha. So even though Trigger was Allatu's boyfriend, she kind of like whatever he did for her, like not saying everything, but like if he bought Allatu something, it's like, oh, you gotta get Keisha something too. Or if he coming to smoke with Allatu, she's like, come on, we gotta go get Keisha. You know what I'm saying? She was just like, whatever was for her, she wanted to share with Keisha. Because she felt that close with Keisha. Even though, like I said, to be honest, Keisha did a lot of selfish things throughout the time, but Allatu just always accepted it. You know what I mean? So whatever the case may be, Allatu used to hang down on the block where Trigger used to hang down at. So all his homeboys, she had got to know them and stuff like that. And they looked at Allatu like, hey, this my sis. You know what I'm saying? So whenever she go down there, they like, hey, let's smoke some. You gotta be woo, wah, woo, wah. So every time she go down there, she coming back with something to snack on. She, she probably had, or she got some weed, whatever. So Keisha used to get upset about that too, because she would go down there and try to smoke with them and stuff like that, and they like, I don't know, I don't have any. What you mean? So she was like asking Allatu like, why every time you go down there they smoking you out, you come back eyes all red, all that the third. Why when I go down there they like, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, that's match. You got something you want to match and all this kind of stuff. So she's like, why you don't ever have to match? Why you blah, 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 whatever. So first of all, Allatu was a pearler. Allatu pearled the bees, okay? So a lot of times they also liked how Allatu rode. That was like one of the things too. But also it was because they was just closer to Allatu. Allatu hung down there with them. And Allatu wasn't like asking them like, hey, let's just, what I'm saying? Like, they really was asking Allatu like, hey, what's up? Go get a bee. You got a bee? Roll some, whatever. So, but a lot of it, like a big thing was that they liked the way she rolled. Like, Allatu pearled them bees, and Keisha didn't even really know how to roll. So it was like, you coming down here with what, lips and fingertips? Like, I mean, no, we don't know what you're talking about. What you mean? What you want? You know what I'm saying? What you coming with? You know what I'm saying? And so she found that offensive too. And that was just another thing, like, to add on to her jealousy of Allatu. Like, okay, like, see, like, here's another situation where everybody giving Allatu what she want, and da da da, this, that, and the third, or whatever. And so Allatu, like, okay, again, like, she's trying her best to, like, you know, make it work and make it where everybody, like, kind of accepting the Keisha and, you know, don't act like that, like, share with Keisha, you know, type of energy. Okay. So, at some point, Keisha actually said to Allatu, and, you know, Allatu just really was not looking at Keisha in this type of way, like that Keisha was on any type of fucked up time with her. But looking back at it, like, when I'm thinking about what I'm saying right now, like, Keisha really was, like, low-key really mad at Allatu, but she did not know how to really come out and say it. Like, it was like a really truly a thin line between lovers and friends, between love and hate. Like, it was really a thin line, because she one day, in this particular time, she one day said to Allatu, yeah, it must be nice to get everything you want. And Allatu was like, what you mean? And then she started, like, naming, like, different scenarios. Like, at first she kind of hesitated, but I'm just, like, making a long story short. She hesitated, but then she started, like, breaking down some situations that they've been through where Allatu got what she wanted. Like, it was one particular time where they was in high school, and Allatu, basically convinced her teacher to give her A, because she wasn't even, like, they both were skipping class and stuff like that. Like, they were skipping classes together, and she got a F, and she basically was, like, on punishment. You know what I mean? But Allatu didn't get an F because she basically convinced her teacher to give her an A. He literally had the grade in the book, but he had wrote it in pencil. He had the grade in the book as an F. And Allatu came and was like, she had already, so this is the thing too. Let me back up. Allatu had already did her work. Allatu just wasn't going to class. Allatu, this was drafted. Allatu was good at it. Allatu was good at a lot of things, but Allatu was good at this. And it dealt with math. Allatu loved math. So that with drawing, like, two things that she loved to do, like, it was a really easy class for her. So she was, like, really ahead of the class. And the teacher didn't have a problem with her skipping for the most part. Because Allatu would be done with her work so fast, he felt like she was just disrupting the class, so she'd get to talking. But everybody else kind of struggling because of the math part, whereas she just, like, kind of breezed through it. So she ended up, like, taking the book home, and then, like, I want to say it was, like, a couple of weekends, or it was, like, less than a month. I'm gonna say, I know it was, like, less than a month. She ended up, like, finishing the entire book, because it was, like, fun to her. So she just, like, sit up, like, maybe on a Saturday, and she'd just sit there and just do drawing after drawing after drawing, because it was, like, so easy. We're just watching TV, just doing the drawings. And so she ended up finishing, like, the whole book. And then for, like, the second quarter, she was, like, trying to get on the second book. He like, now you gotta wait. She ended up doing the second book too. So she was, like, ahead of the class. So that was another reason too. Like, the only reason that he would have to fail her was her not going to class. And she didn't want to go to class because he would try to sit her up in the front of the class to keep her away from other students because she would be done with her work. And yeah. So whatever the case may be, it was like, Keisha, this is why you should not covet other people's things, because you don't know what process they had to go through to get what they got. Allatu just wasn't getting an A just because she said, hey, give me an A. Allatu had did all her work. The only issue was Allatu's attendance. And, you know, it was like, hey, what could he really say besides, okay, you wasn't here, but, hey, you got all your work done. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they come and question me about it, I got actual proof that you did your work. You know what I'm saying? I could say, hey, look, here go her work right here. Here go, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but Allatu, you know, that's just how Allatu was. Like I say, Allatu did what she wanted to do. Like, one way or another. Allatu didn't like being sneaky and manipulative and all that stuff. She like just directly doing what she gonna do. And it was more like, I did it, and, you know what I'm saying? More so than, oh, let me see if I can do it. It was like, no, I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever the case may be, she started breaking down, like, little situations like that. Like, yeah, because you did this, and you was able to do that, and yada, 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 and so on and so forth. And Allatu just, like, man, blown, like, dang, like, she right. And Allatu, like, dang, like, I do be getting what I want. But again, it wasn't in a way of, like, feeling like, oh, well, you don't deserve to get what you want. It was just like, well, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, Allatu just truly in her heart felt like she was supposed to get what she wanted. Like, she don't feel like she asked for much. So, boom. Moving forward, Allatu, now this is when she had got with Kane. So when she got with Kane, at some point, Kane had ended up moving to another state, but they was they were supposed to be like still together, but then like Kane's family had started acting weird and like had letters, and so they had like kind of lost contact for a little while. So Allatu wasn't really sure what was happening with her and Kane, but she knew that she still didn't want to be with him at that point. So Keisha felt like this was her opportunity, like, oh snap, like, okay, they not together right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me work this in here. Like, let me see, you know what I'm saying? Like, what I could do to kind of, get her to pull back. Because at one point, Allatu had moved with Rashid to another state. And Keisha didn't really like that either. You know what I'm saying? So, this handshake, no, I think it was more so like, in her head, I'm going to make sure she don't leave me again. So, I'm going to tell her whatever I need to tell her to keep her right here with me. Now, let me back up for a second too, right? I want to say something about Keisha's mom, Tina. So, Tina was also a succubus, okay? And she gave birth to what in the spiritual world we call a Cambion, which Keisha later grew to be a succubus as well. So, this is what, like, I needed to say this before I move forward, because this is what I'm really about to start getting into, like, some of the things that Keisha started doing. Like, it was already there because she was born this way, and this may have been a part of why Tina was, like, trying to keep her so restricted when she was younger. But, nevertheless, Tina... It came from Tina. It came from her mother. Now, who, I don't know, do it go back further than that? I'm suspecting it does, because I later found out that Keisha has the craft running through her bloodline. So it was probably already some things going on that Allatu's grandmother did not understand about their family and stuff, So she accepted this energy, but it was already probably drawn to her because they probably had past lives with each other where things was happening, and because Allatu's grandmother did not recognize it, she basically like kind of allowed this energy to like kind of fester into her family, and yeah. So this is one of the things that's just like kind of solidified for Allatu that Tina wasn't quite right, and that this is where Keisha really got this from. Like she always kind of thought so, but it's just like it really became apparent. So one day, this is when Allatu was an adult. She was talking to her father, and I don't remember the conversation that they was having, but somewhere in this conversation, Asar told Allatu that his first kiss, first he was like, the way he said, he was like, you ain't gonna believe who my first kiss was with. And Allatu, like, it could be anybody, because like everybody kind of like knew it, but Allatu kind of knew like a lot of people that Asar grew up with, Asar and her mother Nubia, that they grew up with. So she was like, it could be anybody, like who, it's really gonna be hard to guess, so just tell me, who is it? And he was like, Tina. He said he had his first kiss when he was 15 with Tina. Now, let me help you process this a little bit, right? Tina and Allatu's grandmother, which is Asar's mother, were friends. They grew up around each other. Well, not grew up, in they like late 20s, I want to say. But they was basically around each other, like godmothers to each other's children. He was a child. At 15, I don't care. I'm not with that. Oh, it's a boy, it's okay. No. At 15, he is a child. That's the first thing. That's the first on the list, that he is a child. Next, this is your best friend's son. Your best friend. Like, this right here, I just wanted to say this because I feel like this was important to note, that this should let you know just how deep this energy ran within their bloodline. Because who does it? I couldn't imagine having a friend and their underage son, I'm giving him his first kiss. Needless to say, Allatu was super grossed out, as am I even telling this story. But yeah, but just in all seriousness, like it was a super gross moment, and Allatu felt like she could have went her whole life without knowing that. However, it was necessary for her to know it because it all ties in together. She needed to know that because that was an important puzzle, an important piece to the puzzle of why things was happening like the way it did with Allatu's grandmother and Tina, and also with how things was playing out with Allatu and Keisha. All this plays a role with the jealousy because the jealousy was it went even back as far as with them two because um Tina, she accepted friendship from Grandma L, but it was a lot of it was because of what she could get from her. Like Grandma L, again, like people recognize when you a good person and when you got their back. So even if you a bad person, you may, or that's, I don't want to just say bad people because like it just is what it is. I feel like they just got entities attached to them. But even if that's just like you a bad person or whoever, you recognize when somebody is a good person to you, or they treat you good, or they really got your back. So I feel like that's really what it was. Like looking back at it, like Tina knew that Grandma L had her back. And so why would you like discard a friendship like that when this person is like pretty much in a position to help you at a lot of times? Like at times like when their house burned down, Grandma L and her husband, they own they space. You know what I'm saying? So they house. So they rented out the downstairs to Tina and her family. And that was just like, that was that. So like she would always look at, I mean, like discounted rent, like one paying that much. Of course, if she couldn't pay sometime, this your best friend. So if you can't pay, your best friend, like, okay, like, I got you, but you know what I'm saying? Make sure you hit it up next month. It's like just real cool, real chill, like type of vibe like that. So when Allatu's grandfather transcended, Grandma L was like not able to really maintain everything. She had to basically like get the house refinanced and stuff like that to pay for things and all this stuff. Like, it was just a lot of things going on, hospital and stuff like that. It was just a lot of things going on. And so she ended up having to sell the house. Now this was hard because this is a house that they raised their children in and stuff like that. Do you know that when she was down and needed this help like this, Tina didn't say, you know what, let me try to help my friend keep her house. You know what they did? Her and her husband went behind Grandma L's back and tried to purchase the house from under her, basically so now they could be the landlords. Not like, let me help you out. Let me help you keep the house that you and your husband built because you didn't look out for us all these years. Now, let me go and try to take this house from you so I can now be over you. So now you have to pay me rent. So now, it was a real snake move. And it didn't stop there. She continued to do snake ass shit after that for a little while. Like it was like almost like because she knew that Grandma L was down. Like it's like she knew she was at a low point, losing her husband, about to lose her house, something that they built together. It was like she knew she was down. It was like, let me kick you, let me stomp you. Not in ways that like when she was down, how Grandma L had her back. How Grandma L would try to support her, like I said, like when her house burned down, Grandma L had tenants. She basically like told them tenants like, hey, you gotta find somewhere else to go. I'm not saying you gotta go like right this second, like you gotta get out today, but yeah, you gotta find somewhere else to go because like I can't have my goddaughter and I can't have them out in the street like that. And it's the only thing I can't pay for them like a place to stay. So I gotta make sure that they got somewhere to go because I'm not about to have my god baby and my best friend out on the streets. You know what I'm saying? And that's what she did. That's how she moved. That's how she rolled with it. You know what I'm saying? She even went as far as like Grandma L had another son named Seth. And Seth was like a little bit on the more eccentric side, especially spiritually. A lot of people didn't understand his spiritual beliefs because they was more into Christianity and he wasn't. And so she like started like fueling his rumor, talking about he crazy, started calling him psycho, and actually end up so after like the thing with the house like didn't go through, she end up like her and the husband they end up like falling out and he ended up like going to be with somebody else or whatever. I was still kind of young at that time, so I don't fully know the details of like what happened with their marriage, but they basically split. And she started fucking one of Seth's best friends. Now keep in mind, they are old enough to be her sons. Cause she's not no young woman. Tina is not young at this point. You know what I'm saying? She started fucking Seth's best friend, one of his best friends, and then and then it ended up causing a problem between them two because now her and the best friend laid up in the bed talking about Seth, and Seth like goes down to the basement to smoke and um overhear them talking about him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was just it was a lot going on. And like I say, this was all of this was due to Tina's jealousy. She couldn't just be like, you know what, I got a good friend, they got my back, and I'm gonna accept that for what it is. Cause that's what like you a normal person or a person who is not on this type of shit would do. Like, you know what, like this is a good friend. I wanna hold on to this friend. I'm not just gonna take. I'm gonna be giving energy back to this friend too because I wanna keep this friend around. I want us to have even exchange. I want this person in my life for the long haul. You're not gonna take advantage and then the first moment that you get to stab it in the back, you do. And see, this is one of the things where Allatu should have taken heed to the messages or the experiences that she watched her grandmother go through. She's seen how Tina was doing um she's seen how Tina was doing Grandma L and how it caused destruction in their friendship. But see, Grandma L, because of how her heart was, Grandma L was more like, you know, we're not gonna let this destroy your relationship. And that also really too solidified them too because it broke their heart to see them going through this, like, man, you know, we want y'all to stay around each other. But not realizing that Keisha more so was concerned about her being cut off from Grandma L. Not so much about the friendship, like I just want my mama to be cool with Grandma L. It was, you know what I'm saying, like, no, that's a good friend, why you doing this? It was more so like, how's this gonna affect me? Is this gonna put us in a position where like now Grandma L ain't fucking with me because she ain't fucking with my mama type shit? You know what I'm saying? Because that's really what it all boiled down to. Like, Keisha wished Grandma L was her mother or related to her grandmother, some related to her in some type of way because Grandma L was just, she was that dope of a being. Like, just keeping it a buck. And this is really not like a slight at Tina. Like, Tina was a victim of her own circumstances, so to speak. So when I'm telling these stories, these are not something that I'm saying to like try to bash people. I just want people to understand, like, these entities, these energies, they be out here. And when you're not aware and when you like, it's one thing like to have compassion for people, but you also got to have discernment. And you got to be able to recognize when somebody is not for your good. Like I've said this before, all that keep your friends close, your enemies closer. Like, I ain't with none of that. You know what I'm saying? And it took, you know, like seeing things like this growing up, it took a lot of that and processing a lot of these things for me to realize, like, yeah, I don't want people around me like just like, you know, just because I love them, I don't want to keep people around me that don't really wish me well for real. You know what I'm saying? Um, and with Allatu, it took a long time to put these things together. You know, like I'm gonna get more into it. You're gonna hear more about this, especially in part 2 when we start to get more into what happened more deeper into Allatu and Keisha as they got older. But I had to put this in here for reference because Tina was on one. And Tina had demons, a lot of demons on her as well. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but I'm going to tell a little bit about it because, hey, it is what it is. Like I say, these entities are banished and like it is what it is with that. If they didn't like it, they shouldn't have tried a lot to. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the case may be, um, as they got older, well, as Tina got older, those demons started to come back and collect. and they start following her around. Now people start saying like she had dementia and stuff like this. I don't know many people with dementia, so I'm gonna be real. I don't know like a lot of stories. If I'm wrong about this, somebody can correct me and tell me like, nah, this do happen to them. But I've heard of like people with dementia like, losing memories or kind of being like angry, upset about things, stuff like that. But I never heard of them saying like black like shadow people following them coming out the walls and stuff like that. I never heard nobody say that, or somebody with dementia or somebody that knows somebody with dementia saying something like that. Like I said again, I don't know every single person with dementia. I don't know a bunch of people with dementia, so I can't really say that doesn't happen. I just never heard it. And just because I haven't heard it, that don't mean it's not possible or it's not true. But yeah, these things was following her. And like when I first heard that, when somebody first told me, because I don't remember who told me that this was happening to Tina, but when I first heard that, that's the first thing I thought was like, oh, them demons following her. And people thought that she was tripping. Like people really like was like, nah, like it's the bitch, it's her age. Like, nah, it's them things that she did. It's all them skeletons in her closet. All them things that she don't want to face. They facing her. They making her face them because she didn't want to face them. Like the way she done did people, certain people. Like those things came back, and it's the same thing with Keisha. You know what I'm saying? Like she fed a lot of negative entities in her life, like as far as like her relationships and like how she dealt with men. She fed this entity. That's how it grew to be a succubus. She fed this entity by being a taker. And whenever she did give, it was not really genuinely from her heart. It was always in the back of her mind, the intentions of what she was going to get. Like whenever she did something for somebody, it was always the thought of what she wanted in return as she was giving. It wasn't just I'm giving this because this is what I want to do. It was like in return you gonna do this for me though. And but it was like in her head, it was like a contract that she made in her own head and expected them to abide by. And then when they didn't abide by it, it's like she was upset. I know somebody else like this too. I may not tell their story though. But anyway, but that was pretty much what it was. Like Keisha fed this demon, this entity that was attached to her. And at some point, I think she realized that it was why she could not attract the type of love that she wanted to attract. And I feel like at some point, I feel like she did want to get it off of her. Um, and unfortunately, it's like it's ways that you can, but when it's like attached to you like that deep, and it's like you was born with it on you. And when I say born with it on you, the reason why I'm saying it is because again, this is why I gave a backstory about Tina, is because her mother was one. So it was like already a part of, who she was. It was already part of her DNA to start with. And I do feel like Tina may have tried to restrict her a lot to try to, not have her feed this entity. But it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, I think Keisha do realize that in order to get rid of it, she gonna have to starve it. And that means she's gonna probably have to not have intercourse, so that she can starve that entity. And then once it's weak enough, then she can banish it. You know what I'm saying? But whatever the case may be, I had to get into that. I had to, bring in the reason, like how Keisha got to this point, so we can get to the next thing. So, boom. All of this stuff like really kind of solidified the relationship between Keisha and Allatu, because now they see this friendship that's like this lifelong friendship that's falling apart, and they like, we don't ever want this to happen to us. And so Allatu was really more so like, okay, I gotta be more forgiving, I gotta be more compassionate. Although Allatu understood why Grandma L was so upset, because the things that Tina did was very hurtful. But also too, Grandma L was also pushing for Allatu and Keisha to remain friends. She did not want the turmoil between her and Tina to spill over into their friendship. She wasn't on it. She just wasn't that type of person. So she wasn't like trying to hold nothing against Keisha because she was mad at her mother. She just wasn't like that. Um, and so moving forward, no, back to what I was saying. So now I feel like it's time for me to get into like how Keisha ended up getting in her head that this was the route to go to make sure that she keep Allatu in on her side, about her side. So they had a little experience, which I cannot get it too much into on this video, but it will be on part 2 on Patreon. But they had a little experience. It was like a low key threesome, and it wasn't like the best experience, but it started from like Allatu having, we gonna call this dude like her lick 'em low lover. And the experience was so raw that she was like, Keisha, you gotta experience this, girl. You know what I'm saying? So she just wanted Keisha to experience something she thought was like fat. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how that, like, I feel like that right there is what like sparked the whole thought process for Keisha. Like, hey, this is a way for me to attach myself to her. And who knows, like maybe she even thought at that time that maybe this is a way for me to pass this demon. Maybe this is a way for me to destiny swap. Who's to say like what she was really thinking or what that entity was thinking, you know, or making her think. I don't know. But whatever case may be, so now we get back to the whole situation with Kane. So Kane is in another, city, another state, and Allatu is like partying a lot with Keisha. So they go to this party, this one particular party, and Keisha is like, no, Allatu is like, so Kane has a foot fetish, so he used to buy like Allatu all these heels. Even though she didn't really wear that growing up, she wasn't in that. But they look good on her, and they was nice to hear, really good taste. So she was like rocking them. She at this party, she had on her little jeans, and Allatu was very curvy. You know what I'm saying? So she like dancing and everybody in the party watching and looking, and she just like pop drop it like, you know what I'm saying, like she owned it, right? Twerking, stepping, just doing the whole damn thing, you know what I'm saying? And so everybody watching, but now she's starting to get hot, so she go in the bathroom, she get a little sick. So Keisha go in the bathroom with her. She like, a lot of like, look, I need to go outside. So Keisha rubbing her back and stuff while she over the sink, put water on her face. She's like, okay, come on, let's go outside. So as Allatu walks to the door to grab the door, Keisha smack her on the ass. Allatu like, what? Okay, we've been drinking. Like, okay, so maybe that's what this is. Okay, they kind of let that go. So now fast forward to like the next time they go into the party, which is really like not that far away from this time. So it's like the same person house. Allatu, got ready. Keisha come pick her up. They in a car, in Keisha's car, rolling up, so they can hit one before they go to the party. So out of nowhere, Keisha like, I got something I want to tell you. And so she like, a lot's like, okay, like, what's up, girl? Talk to me. What's happening? She's like, I don't know if I know how to tell you this. I don't know if I should tell you this. Like, I'm just scared, and like, I don't know what you're gonna say. So a lot's like, girl, we talk about everything. Like, drop it, Jeeves. Come on, man, stop playing. Talk to me. We don't keep no secrets. What's up? And so she like, well, if I tell you, like, could you just not look at me, and could you not like ask me no questions about it? Can you just like kind of like, like let it go? Like, can we just talk about it another time? And so Allatu like kind of confused, but she also nosy and like, she hate not knowing things. So she like, okay, fine. You know what I'm saying? So she like started to tell her, but then she like she's like, look, stop playing. I hate when people do that. Just tell me. So Keisha finally, get up the courage, and she just like, she said, she like, I'm in love with you. I always been in love with you. I'm always gonna be in love with you. She started like describing, and I mean it's detailed. Like she started like describe, like, how she look at her in certain situations, how she had been looking at her in times where Allatu was in vulnerable positions, thinking that she just, doing certain things in front of her girlfriend, and she looking at her a certain way. But Allatu did not look at Keisha in that way, so she kind of thrown a little bit. But she also don't want to hurt Keisha's feelings. So she just like taking it all in, confused, but also like not want to hurt her best friend's feelings. But then she also like flattered, you know what I'm saying? Because the things that she's saying, like the way she's describing it, like nobody has really ever described feeling like this. She didn't have people describe some really strong feelings, but not like this. So she's like really just taking everything in. Um, Go to Patreon for part 2 because it's about to get real spicy and crazy.